Alright, in Spigot, I wanted to code a custom NPC plugin, yeah? But the problem with that, they don't have pathfinding. They're fake players, why would they have pathfinding? It doesn't make sense. So they kind of just sit here, and it's really, really creepy, actually. I wanted to get my fake player to move, like a zombie, for example. Minus the burning part, I mean. So I was scouring the forums, and I could not find a single solution. I could not figure out how to put pathfinding on my custom NPC. But, just a couple days ago, I actually figured out how to make a move. And they have their own pathfinding. That's the only bug I've encountered, but that fixes itself. But yeah, so I'm gonna show you how to code this if you're developing a Spigot plugin and you want an NPC that has pathfinding. I don't usually make tutorial videos, and I don't plan to. This is just kind of like, I'm trying to be helpful for once in my life. So I'm gonna show you how to add pathfinding to a custom NPC. So I'm not gonna show you how to make an NPC. I'll just put like a link in the description or something. I'm also not really, well, I'll quickly look at it. This is my custom mob class. Pretty much this just like creates a fake zombie. If we go into the game and we go into spectator mode, you'll see how there's a zombie. How this plugin works is basically we're faking it. So a custom NPC doesn't have pathfinders, so we're just going to set its location to the custom mob that we're going to create. So again, I'll link a video in the description. I'm not going to show you how to, well, you could just copy this if you want to, but I'm not going to show you how to actually make the custom mob or the custom NPC. There'll be a video in the description for both those by somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Anyways, so we got our NPC class here, and so how are we going to get the mob to move? There are two methods we're going to want to make. So we're going to make just like an update kind of thing to get the head rotation. First we're going to change their head rotation based on the custom mob's rotation. So for like putting in the NPC and the mob. And for all these, we're going to do a for loop just so all players see it, because we're dealing with packets, and it would be pretty problematic if only one player could see it, unless that's what you want. So it's just like anything else with packets. You gotta get the player connection. Then you gotta actually send the packets. This packet, we're gonna do the head rotation. We're gonna put in the NPC. And we're going to put it to the mob's last yaw. And we're gonna times it by 253, divided by 360. If I could type. Alright, so this one's actually really easy. You only need one more connection packets, and this is going to be the packet entity look. So, it's just the same thing really as this. Oh, we're also going to get the pitch too, so sorry if I'm typing slow. I'm under pressure here. So pretty much we're sending the packet entity head rotation getting the mob's last yaw. So not the NPC, like up here for example. We're putting the NPC in and the mob, and we're going to be setting the NPC's head rotation based on what the mob's head rotation is. So mob's yaw and mob's pitch. And we're putting it to the NPC. So we're going to do one more, and that's going to be our move method. And this isn't, this is like the one thing I found on the forum teaching me how to code movement. But I'm going to get into what the problem is. But as I'm going to later explain, it's kind of like restrictive in a way. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make the connection variable. Also, sorry if I'm talking kind of quiet. It's like everybody's still asleep. Okay, so we're going to do a packet playouts entity move. Like before, we're going to get the ID. Then we're going to make our X, Y, and Z. And we're going to times it by that number, because that will count as one block. Okay, so pretty much, if we put a 1 for this X and leave everything else 0, the mob will move one block in the positive X axis. Or the NPC, I mean. So this would be very good for like basic movement, like walking pretty much whenever you want them to, but it doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like a mob just randomly deciding where to go. Unless you had some complicated, like, get random number and then, like, keep making them move in weird ways. But, you know, that's too much work. I lied, by the way. We're actually going to do one. Oh, wait. Frick. We'll get to this in a minute. But, yeah, so basically, so, like, if the player puts 2 in any of these, then it'll multiply by this number, be like 8,000 something, and then that would single 2 blocks and also move them. And it could be negative too, obviously, so they can move like negative Z or something. But again, too much work. So we're going to be making a runnable, which probably isn't the best way to do this, but it's the one way I could figure out how to do it. So right here, I actually commented, so I didn't lose track. We're gonna make a new bucket runnable, like we usually do. And we're going to run the task to plug in every tick. And the first thing we're going to do is to update NPC to the mob. Because remember, when we made this, we put the NPC in and the mob. And then their head rotation is pretty much synchronized. So now we can move on to what you came here for, the movement. So the way I figured how to do this was pretty much we're going to detect every time the entity moves. Now I couldn't find an event to do this. Otherwise I'm sure it would be 10 times better than the runnable. So we're just going to make a couple variables. So we're going to do the X, which is the mob. Not the NPC, this is the mob, the custom mob with the pathfinders. we're gonna get its X location. We're gonna do the same thing with its Y. And we're gonna do the same thing with its Z. So after this, we're gonna have to go up here and make some other variables. So we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna call it something like previous X. Previous Y. And we're just gonna put them to 0 right now. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so now we're gonna go in my spawn method for and I guess I should have went over this. When you make your custom NPC and your custom mob, I just spawned the custom mob at the NPC's location, or the same location that the NPC was gonna spawn in anyway. So they're like inside each other, basically. So make sure you do that. Make sure you have the custom mob spawning inside the NPC. And then we're gonna save the location of the mob. Just so we don't get any just so when the mob spawns for the first time, it doesn't spawn at like some random coordinate and then teleport all the way to where you are, or wherever it spawns. So we're just going to set it here when the mob is spawned. Now we're going to create an if statement. So if X does not equal previous X, or Y does not equal previous Y, or Z does not equal previous Z, then we are going to go ahead and make a new variable, and we're going to call this get X, I guess. We're just going to do X minus previous X. We're going to do get Y as Y minus previous Y, and get Z as in Z minus previous Z. So pretty much we're getting the previous location, which is saved here. So it starts out as like, say this is like 30 or something. Then on the runnable, when the mob moves, we're saving that new location and we're comparing it. So now they're at 31 or 32, or it's higher than 30. So now we're checking when it was at 30, and now it's at 32 or higher. So now they don't equal each other, and so now we're gonna subtract them to get like the distance. So like if they're at 32, this means they've walked 2 blocks. And the reason we're doing not equals to and not something like if X is greater than, it's because if they go in the negative, if they go towards negative X, for example, then it's going to be less and like the whole thing's going to break. So we have our get X methods. So now all we have to do is do NPC move, our move method, NPC get X, get Y, and get Z. And I've clearly made a mistake. Oh, I'm dumb. I just called it NPC. Make sure it's called NPC move. That's my bad. And now, lastly, we're just going to set the previous location to what is now the current location. And now this will be, next time they walk, this will be the previous. So that is done. So now it pretty much works, and they can move and all that. But I'm gonna do one more thing. What happens if you damage or kill the mob? Nothing's gonna happen, right? Because we haven't sent those packets to kill the NPC. So we're gonna, in the same runnable, we're gonna do another. We're gonna get the mob's health, our custom mob get health, and we're actually gonna create a variable up here. We're gonna just do a private float, and we're gonna call it. This is actually a horrible variable, but just current health. I should have picked something shorter, but for all sakes, for all, purposes, we're just gonna do. So if the mob get health does not equal the current health, this means they, oh wait, actually, we're gonna send that get damage method. Okay, so I didn't go over this. Pretty much, NPC take damage. We're gonna put in just the NPC. We're gonna do the for loop again with the connection, and we're just gonna send a packet, connection, send packet, new packet playout animation, NPC 1. 1 is the animation that tells that the entity has taken damage. It shows like the red kind of like glow or whatever. That's the packet to show an entity player taking damage. I think 0 would be like hitting their fist or whatever. So if you wanted to make a method, you could do the same thing. Like if player gets hit by the mob, then you could play that animation. I didn't do that though, because I didn't think that far ahead. So we're just gonna do NPC take damage, NPC. And then we're gonna set the current health equal to the mob get health. So it's really the same thing as when we were doing the previous X, Y, and Z, only less variables. But we're not done yet. What if the mob dies? So if mob dead is true, then we're going to just, I'm assuming if you've made an NPC, you've made a remove packet, but just in case, this is our remove packet for all players. I'm not sure if I need all these, but destroy NPC, remove them from the tab list, and all that. Again, there's a tutorial in the description that's made by somebody who actually knows what they're doing. So then we're just going to remove the NPC from the list, because I made a list for my NPCs. And then we're also going to cancel. We're going to cancel the runnable, because we won't need it anymore. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm an idiot, right? So the current health is currently, whoops. Okay, I made a mistake. So we're actually going to also set the variable for current health equal to mob.getHealth. And so now the variable is like, so 100%, let's just say. The current health is 100%. So now if the health is now less than the current health, it's going to take damage. Alright. So let's see if that worked. Let's get our mob. And actually, because it's a zombie, I'm also not entirely sure if this is the best way. I just save their ID to a variable, and then I went my listeners class, and I pretty much just compared if they had the same ID, and if they did, I canceled the combust event. So because it's a zombie, I don't want them burning in daylight, and I couldn't find to prevent them from burning in their own class, like in custom mob. I saw there on this one form there was like a prevent sun burn or whatever. I don't know. I can't find that, so I'm just using listeners, and then I'm also removing their drops. Alright, so let's go and see if our plugin works. In this plugin, this is the way I'm spawning this NPC. So let's see if it, whoops. Okay, well, yeah, we can already see he's moving. So yeah, now it works. and as you can see, he dies. And I should have also played the packet for an entity player, getting killed. I'm sure there's a packet for that too. But yesterday when I was doing this little test, it was mainly just to see if I could get NPCs to have pathfinding in the first place, which I've successfully done, kind of. Again, I'm sure there's probably a better way to do it, but this is the way I figured out how to do it. And also, there's a couple problems with this. Like, the bounding box is the same, so it's kind of hard to hit him. And this is fine and all, you could just increase the bounding box size. I couldn't get that to work yesterday, and then I got annoyed and I took a nap. But if you can figure out how to increase the hitbox, either remove the NPC's hitbox or increase the custom mob's hitbox slightly, and that should be fine. And also, the head rotation's kind of bugged, so, say oh my god, if I hit this person, they'll twist their head like that creepily, but they'll eventually fix themselves. If I go into here, yeah, it's actually, their body is just weird. So I know that may have been a little bit to take in, but thank you for watching the video. I hope you were able to understand it clearly. If you have any questions, feel free to message me below in the comment section. And yeah, thank you for watching.